Alright, so this is going to be a somewhat more detailed special video because someone asked me how I remember where all the screws go. And also I laid out the tools. I don't normally do this, so hopefully you guys appreciate this video. If you do, make sure to like and subscribe. If I see a bunch of likes and subscribes on this video, I'll continue doing this in the future. Otherwise, I don't feel it's worth the extra time and effort. Anyways, we got the screwdrivers laid out here. We got a T3 or Torx 3, T5, Torx 5, T7, Torx 7. We also have a P2 or Pentalobe 0.8 and a P5 or Pentalobe 1.2, right? We got a suction cup. We got some thread locker. This is Loctite 262. You don't need to use super strong like this, but I found that I feel like this helps better for hinge screws. And then of course the screwdriver handle and the screen. All right, anyways, for some reason my screen capture thingy is getting all laggy, so hopefully I'll be able to see what I'm doing. But anyways, we're gonna set this stuff aside for now. First thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna actually be working on this somewhat like maybe to the side so you can kind of see how I put the screws. We're gonna start with the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver. Okay, and I'm gonna show you guys how I keep track of all the screws. But anyways, the way I do that, I take out the screws and then I put them flat side down on my desk. All right, basically like this. I'm gonna put them off to the side, so hopefully you guys will be able to see. And I do that in the pattern that I remove the screws, but of course I also keep them somewhat close together. So let me do this off to this corner, and hopefully I'll be able to keep all the screws in the view of the camera, but we'll see. All right, I worked on this model before. Again, if you notice, some of the screws are different size, like these ones are even smaller. So it's always a good idea to keep your screws in order, because even if they look similar, you might end up mixing things up and then having problems if you don't. All right. Again, if this video helps you out, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Anyways, we're going to rotate it like this. We're going to take the suction cup and we're going to stick it here towards the front. This lets us lift up the cover here. The reason why we need to lift this up is because there are clips inside holding this down. I'm going to go around to the side with my fingernails, push with my thumb down on this. So I'm pulling up on this cover and then pushing down with my thumb on the bottom palm rest, and then also go from here, same thing, fingernails in there, pulling up. All right, and then we're going to go around to here and do the same thing. All right, and get my fingernails in there, push with my thumb down here and pull up. Okay, and usually the clip's hard to pull up like that one. I don't know why this side came out so easily. Okay, anyways, what we're going to do, we're going to rotate this now here. This is very important because a lot of people end up cutting their fingers inside here. So what you do, or what I do, is I get my hand in here and I have my fingernails here, you can see. They're along the edge here. And the reason why is this is very sharp here. So if you're not careful and you put your fingers too far, you're going to end up slicing your fingers open. So be very careful. All right, so I get my fingers in there like that, grab with my palm. I push down here with one finger, or you can use two fingers, whatever works for you. But I'll push with one finger, wrap my fingers over here so we can pull. Okay, I might have to use both fingers here. And we pull straight down. This can take a lot of force, so be very careful. Okay, if it doesn't come out, sometimes it'll move a little bit, but not enough. We're going to go ahead and go over to the other side and basically do the same thing. Okay, so just like this, pull it down. All right, and there we go. Once you get one side out completely, then you can actually a lot easier you can use this to help pull it a little bit more. And then usually you can kind of pull the whole thing out just like that. And there we go. Okay. So now that we got the bottom cover off, here you can see how they have the clips here, okay? And these go underneath into the air vents there. That's how it holds into place, okay? I'm going to do a close-up here so you can kind of see. We are going to switch over to a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver, okay? So let's go ahead and switch the bit. Maybe I should keep the bits in camera view as well so you can kind of see. All right, I don't usually keep them in this layout. I usually just leave them in the box that I keep them in, but maybe this will help you guys see. I have to be careful not to get them too close to the screws because they are magnetic somewhat, or magnetized, and the screws might stick to it. Anyways, let's zoom in a bit here. What we're going to do now, we're going to remove this plastic cover here that's covering the battery connectors. So just slowly, carefully peel this up. All right, it's very slowly. And be careful, and there we go. Make sure when you're peeling this up that it doesn't peel up this layer underneath. If it does, you have to like push it down, or if you peel it up, make sure that you put it back there when you're done. All right, we're going to set this aside. Here you can see what it looks like underneath. It has these two that go around there, and then it has these that kind of attach to the screw here, and then the area down here. All right, we're going to set this aside. Okay, again, I don't know if I should keep all of these pieces in view. I just kind of keep that out of the way, all right, and make sure to put it back later. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to disconnect the battery cable here. So there's two portions to the battery that are very important. If any of these aren't put back properly, your battery's not going to charge, or your computer's not going to start up, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to get this out. If you want, and you can't do it with your fingernails, you can use a small tool like this or anything that doesn't conduct electricity. But basically you can use that to help lift these kinds of things up, all right? Usually I just use my fingernails to do that. Peel that back. We're gonna get underneath here and flip this latch up, okay? Once this latch is vertical, you wanna be careful not to use too much force on it. Then you can kind of grab here. You can use tweezers too if you want, and you can pull this cable straight back and it comes out just like that. All right, next we're gonna remove this T5 Torx 5 screw. All right, just like this. And we're gonna also set that aside. Remember to keep your screws in order in a way that you can keep track of them. All right, now what I'm gonna do, because this tab actually stays down, you wanna bend it slightly up so it doesn't keep touching the battery connector there. Now the battery's fully disconnected. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna do a power drain. Let me zoom out here so you can kind of see all the screws again and everything. Okay, you don't really need to see my lap. Okay, well, let me move some stuff, I guess I'll move this here so you can kind of see it a little bit. All right, anyways, we're gonna open this up, and then we're gonna press and hold the power button for 15 seconds. This is very important. If you don't do this, you can fry your backlight circuit or the screen or both. So you wanna make sure, press and hold the power button for 15 seconds after disconnecting the battery. And of course you wanna open up the screen like this so it sends the power on signal to the Mac. And that kind of just drains the power from the capacitors and things like that. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we're done with the T5 for now. We're gonna, well actually, let's stick with the T5 for a bit. Let me zoom in, or the Torx 5 screwdriver. Let's go ahead and remove the other T5 or Torx 5 screws, because that way we don't have to keep switching screwdrivers so much, okay? So there's 4 running along up here, and then there's 1 holding the wireless antenna down here. Okay, again, same thing. I'm gonna try and keep all the screws in order for you guys to see. That way, or hopefully when I zoom out, you'll be able to see it. Okay, and you don't have to take the screws out in the same order. Hopefully you guys can use your brains a little, and if it's like, seems like, oh, this thing is on top, I need to remove this first, then yeah, otherwise just follow along exactly. There are a little bit of tricks. Normally you would take out all the other stuff first, but because I don't want to keep switching screwdrivers back and forth, it might get confusing. I'm just going to use what I have. That's, yeah. All right, anyways, now we're going to lift this piece up to get to the wireless antennas. And this one, it might actually help to use something skinny like this, because they do have these foam pad adhesives under here, as you can see there. So what I do is, while I'm kind of pulling this up, I kind of use this to kind of poke at the bottom of the adhesive to kind of scrape it off the motherboard slowly. Okay, and that way the adhesive will remain intact. So this kind of helps. You just keep poking at it, slowly working around the adhesive until you can get the adhesive lifted off, as you can see, just like that. And do the same thing with the one back here. Okay. And then we can lift this whole piece off the motherboard, logic board, whatever you want to call it. All right. It's actually a logic board because there's no daughter boards or anything connected to this. All right. And there's 2 pieces of foam here, one on either side here. So make sure you get both. All right, again, and here you go. You can see how the adhesive looks underneath. Okay, all right, we're gonna set that aside as well. Okay, then as I mentioned, there's another T5 Torx 5 screw here, so we're gonna remove that. Okay, remove that screw and set that aside. Let me zoom out again so you can kind of see how I put the screws on my desk. Okay, all right. There, whoa. Okay, so you can see I put the 4 like that and the one antenna one down there. Okay, we're gonna now switch over to the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. This is going to be a little bit complicated because there's a lot of screws here. Let me actually check the new screen as well. So there are these metal bars here that sometimes they'll put it, and on this one, as you can see, they didn't. So we're going to take those out as well. Sometimes we remove them and sometimes we don't. Okay, so we're going to just go along and remove all the screws from the T3 or Torx 3s. We probably don't need to zoom in that close, so yeah, anyways, we're gonna remove these screws one by one. Okay, and I'm gonna try and, again, I don't know if I can, well, I'll just put them on my desk and then later I'll zoom out and show you how they're lined up. But basically, as long as you put them in the pattern that you're removing them, you should be able to keep track of where the screws came from and how to put them back, okay? It's not really rocket science. More, I would think it's like common sense, and once you do it a few times, it just makes sense. It's, yeah, it's the best way to do this, okay? I know like some people when they work on a lot of computers, they'll just throw these stuff in whatever order. Oh, also, if you're wondering, this metal plate, they have this where it kind of wraps over, okay? And this part where it kind of bulges up and wraps over like this, it hooks over this direction. So yeah, I don't know if it really matters which way it faces, but I always try and get it back the same way I took it out. Okay, so then we also got 2 screws down here. All right, so hopefully you guys are able to see what I'm doing with it zoomed so far back. If not, I have another video where I worked on this a few months ago. Back then my hands had all the scabs all over it. That's kind of partially why I'm remaking this video with extra fine detail and stuff. So yeah, so we got those 2 out. This releases this spring-loaded piece here, okay? All right, then we're gonna remove these. So these are holding the connector in place for the screen. I kind of want to, sometimes these are like slightly different size, so I'm gonna check also the T4 just in case. Okay, no, we'll use the T3. Sometimes Apple's sneaky and they use a T4 screw there, and then when you use the T3 it strips it a tiny bit, so you want to be careful and make sure to check that, okay? So we're going to get this screw out. Why is it kind of stuck in there? There we go. Okay, then we'll remove this. And of course we have all these little metal plates that come out as well. These help hold the connectors in place, so make sure you don't lose these. All right, so we're going to remove this metal plate as well. All right, then we got this one down here. You want to remove this one as well. Okay, that one and this one. Hold this down. Okay, and we'll remove that metal plate as well. All right, I don't know if there's any specific way you want to put this, but the thicker pad is on top and the thinner one is on the bottom. You can also see that underneath this piece has like silver that faces down, and on here on the top it's black. All right, so that's how you know which side is up and which side's down for this. All right, we're gonna remove this, same thing as the other side. All right, so a lot of this is pretty symmetrical, so makes it a little bit easy to kind of do the layout. All right, come on, screw, stand up the right way. There we go. And we'll get these 2 out again. Okay, this one. All got the last two holding this plastic hinge screw covers, just like on the other side. Okay. Just like this, and the last one. Alright, then you just lift this up here like that, and you can pull it out. Alright, let me zoom out to show you the screw layout again. There you go. So you can see how we laid out all the screws. 2 screws for this plastic bracket, these 2 screws for that metal thing, then these 2 screws, and basically repeating the same thing. Oops, I didn't remove this metal thing to put it there. Okay, so there we go. Alright, now we're going to disconnect the LCD cable from the board here. Alright, this is the LVDS connector. But I believe it does like the camera and everything. Alright, I'm going to get underneath here, and then I'm going to hold this board down and pull up with my fingernail on this, and there you go. We disconnected the screen from the motherboard. Don't be careful, very careful with this cable, because if you damage this, to replace it, you do have to take the entire motherboard logic board out, okay? And that can be a huge pain. Alright, so we're done with the T3 or Torx 3 for now. We are now going to switch on over to the P2 or Pentalobe 0.8 screwdriver, and we're going to remove all these antenna screws. So these hold the wireless antenna in place, and again, you do want to keep all the screws in order. It is a lot of them, so yeah, again, just put them all in a row. Again, even though these screws are exactly the same or close enough to it, I don't like to put them all in like a pile. I like to keep them in order of where I took them from and put them back in that same order. So after I remove all these screws, I'll zoom out again to show you how I keep the screws, and hopefully it will help you when you work on yours. Also, it helps to kind of have your screws, if you want, you can put it on a separate, like further away table or something. So if you're moving stuff around, you don't accidentally hit it and knock them over, okay? But for my videos and stuff, I try and like keep it to where you guys can see everything, okay? And also I don't have to reach all over the place, and I don't have to worry about having so much work area, okay? Alright, getting there. Also, if you didn't know, because some people say why I don't have grounding strips and stuff, my desk is actually made of metal. I keep my knee against there, but yeah, if you want, you can wear like those grounding wire wrist straps and stuff like that to help prevent static damage. All right, anyways, let's zoom out here. Oh no, my phone thing, it's like so, I don't know why it's so laggy to the screen. All right, anyways, once we got all these screws out, oops, let me zoom out so you can kind of see. So there you go, you can see how I put all the wireless antenna screws just like that. Now let's go ahead and zoom in and remove the wireless antennas. So what I do, oh, I didn't actually disconnect the wireless antennas, I skipped that step earlier. But basically, here's the wireless antennas, or how they connect to the motherboard. I just get underneath with my fingernails near the tails at the back of it, and then I just pull it straight up just like that. Same thing with the other one here. You don't have to go from both sides. You could technically just go from one side and just pop it up like that, okay? And you want to be very careful, because sometimes the companies do a bad job soldering those connectors down, and if you're not careful and pull up too hard, it can rip those out, and sometimes it'll rip it out even if you do it right, so keep that in mind. That's why on some computers or videos I don't show how to remove all those all the time, because of the risk. All right, anyways, we got this here. We're gonna pull up the from the air vent areas of the wireless antenna. We're gonna get up, and we can kind of also wiggle it, and there you go, it pops out. It actually has little dimples that hold it down to a metal area there. I'll show a close-up of that later, but let's go ahead and get this out. You want to guide the wireless antenna through the little hole here, okay? Pull it out, and then we're going to rotate this bar over to get these antennas to go through that hole as well. And there we go. All right, so here are the dimples I was referring to, if it'll focus. There you go. And you can see how it goes into a groove, and then the points of these dimples help hold that in place. All right, so we're going to set the wireless antenna bar aside as well now. And now I'm running out of desk space because I'm trying to make it so you guys can see all the screws I'm removing. Anyways, we're done with the P2 or pentalobe 0.8 screwdriver now. We're going to switch over to the, oops, that thing's sticking to my hand, to the T7, or was it supposed to be T8? I think it's T7. Let me double check. Oh, actually it's T8, my bad. I think, yeah, T8. Make sure to use Torx 8. Sorry, I didn't mean to screw people up. Now it's probably going to mess people up because, well, anyways, we're going to take out these screws as well. I don't know why I said T7. I think I don't have enough sleep. All right. Anyways, I'm going to remove 2 of these screws. Normally what you want to do, let me actually zoom out here so I can show you this. So normally what you want to do actually, you don't want to remove all these screws yet. We're going to open up the screen. Oh, what is all of this junk that's falling out of their keyboard? All right. You want to open the screen all the way, okay, completely. And then you're going to rest the keyboard on your desk or table. And then you have this hanging off the edge. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually switch the screws around for, because when I work on this, I usually will remove these screws in this way. And it helps me remember which screws came from where when I have them in this pattern like this. Okay, so we have this third one here like that. So you can see I put the shape of how they're being removed. And we're going to do the same thing with the 3 here. Okay, so grab these 3 out. And the last one here. Okay. So there we go. So now we got those 6 screws out. Once you've done that, you let the screen drop to 90 degrees. All right. So basically, so it's perpendicular, making like a complete like sharp corner. Then you can lift this out. You might have to wiggle it a little, but there we go. We can lift the old screen out and yeah, set that aside. Okay, so now that we're done with this, let me see, where can I put this old screen? Okay, now we're going to grab the new screen. Okay, and to put this in, you do want to hold these cables up. Make sure that they are extended out, that they're not crumpling anywhere. But you want to hold both these sides of the cables out. Let me do this here. So what I do is I hold the thing like this with my fingers and hold it like that. Also, you want to make sure these hinges are opened in the all the way open position. If they're closed, if they're in the closed position, like, let me try and do this for you. So if they're in this closed position like this and you can't open it, you can actually take the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver, just get it in the screw hole. Don't put it all the way through, just partially in, and then you can use that to help leverage it out. Once you get it partially, you should be able to use your hand to do it, but be careful not to pull this too far back. You don't want to break the hinge mechanism. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get the screen into place. So if you want, you can actually hold it like this, hold the cables out with one hand and hold this like that. And then we're going to carefully lower this in, get the hinges lined up and into place. Again, you might have to wiggle it, and then you can let those cables drop in. Make sure this cable ends up on top. All right, then we're going to kind of raise this up. I'm going to hold this, the edge of the screen down here with my legs. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 2 outer or innermost screws here, because that's closest to where the hinge moving mechanism is. We're not going to tighten it all the way down. We're just going to kind of loosely fit it. All right. So let's see here. Why is this screw not going in? Come on. There we go. All right. There we go. And if you're wondering why we're doing this, the reason is because we want to make sure everything is aligned properly. Okay. If these cables are out, make sure to kind of pull them all the way. Okay, then we're going to lay the screen on the back, and then we're going to slowly, carefully close this. You want to carefully and slowly do this just in case it gets caught or snagged anywhere in here, okay? Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit here, and I should actually flip this over because I don't have enough room on the desk. But we want to check and make sure everything is lined up here. So check the edges, make sure the edges are all flush. I'm going to move the wireless antenna bar out of the way. Okay, make sure it's all flush. And if you can, try and align the gaps here. But to do that, you do, of course, have to loosen these screws a little bit. Okay, and then we can go ahead and do that. All right, then what you want to do is make sure, like, again, if you can, align that as well. So this part is a little bit difficult because every slight tiny adjustment can set the other one a little bit out of alignment. So, all right. There we go. Once it looks close enough, you can go ahead and tighten these back down. Okay. And this is probably going to throw me off because normally I would have the laptop all the way up here to work on to show it in camera. Now it's all the way down here. But hopefully you guys will kind of understand what's going on. We're going to take the thread locker now, and I'm just going to open the bottle up. Okay. And then what I do is I'll take one screw over here, and we'll just put a tiny bit of this stuff on. All right. It doesn't use much. Okay. So when it comes out, we're just going to touch a little bit on there. I don't know if you can even see, but yeah, there's not really much on there. Okay. Just a little bit. If I rotate the screw, you can see there's nothing on the other side. Anyways, once we've gotten that, we're going to go ahead and get the screw in. And we're going to do that for all 6 screws, but we want to get the other ones in before we take out the others, okay? So let's go ahead and get a little bit more on this one. Okay, and then we'll tighten this down. All right, once you got those 2 in, you could remove the other one and then do the same, put the thread locker on that. Thread locker isn't completely necessary for this video or this repair. I just feel like I've seen a lot of screws come loose for the hinges. This design with the little hinge cover, so far I haven't seen that problem, but it's always a good idea to make sure the hinges don't come loose, because I've seen a lot of computers, when they get loose hinges, cause a lot of problems, so you want to make sure to kind of keep those nice and snug. Alright, so we're going to get this one in, tighten that down. I have to be careful because the screws are so close to where I'm working right now. Alright, and that one. Okay, and the last one, we're going to take that screw back out. Okay, and get these stuff on there. Alright, there we go. So we're done now with the thread locker. We're going to put that bottle away or set it aside. Okay, now we got all those done. We're also done with the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver bit. Sorry for confusing you guys in the beginning with the T7 thing. Alright, next thing we're going to do, move this thing out of the way. Okay, so what I like to do is, it's going to be confusing because I'm going to be switching around screwdrivers a bit more now. We're going to use the T3 or Torx 3 first. Actually, sorry, I'm going to use the T5 or Torx 5 first. And reason for that is I kind of want to wait. Okay, no. We're gonna be skipping around a lot, sorry guys. So we're gonna use the T3 first. I'm gonna grab the screws that hold these little spring-loaded ones in place. We're gonna rotate the spring here. Okay, let me zoom in for you guys. Rotate that, hold that in place. You should be able to see the spring down here below the silver part there. You can see it, okay? And while you're holding that in place, then we're going to get this screw in, okay? Keep holding it down and then tighten that, all right? Get the other one. All right, hold that, make sure it's staying in place, and get that screw in. I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay, the reason we're doing that first is because we want that out of the way for when we do the wireless antennas, okay? And we're going to rotate this and get this into place. Okay, same thing as the first side that we did. All right, there we go. If you want, you can actually put in a bunch of these T3 or Torx 3 screws first, but I'm going to just do this one only first, and then we're going to switch back and forth a few times, okay? So now that we're done with that, I am going to switch over to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver bit. Let's go ahead and get the wireless antennas in real quick. Okay, so for the wireless antennas, because they're curved like this, it makes it a little difficult. So I like to kind of straighten it out a little bit. We're going to bend it back later, but for now we're going to straighten it out just so we can get it through this little hole here easier. Okay, so here you can see this is moving all around, and that's fine because if you put this down, it's going to be almost impossible to get this in. So let's go ahead and get the antennas through the hole here. Hopefully you guys can see. Okay, so we're getting the antennas through. Then you kind of have to wiggle this, work it to get this little metal screw mount thing into place. Okay, there we go. Once you get everything lined up, make sure to line up these 2 inner screws as much as you can, and then hold that into place. And then I like to use a thumb to kind of push this middle piece in. You can double check it now. If you try and lift this up, it should stay into place. That's how you know you have it in the right way. All right, there we go. And then, like I was saying, now we're going to be using the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. So we're going to get these 4 screws in first. And also, the antenna has like little things for screws. So yeah, you can't put these T5 screws in first. You do have to wait until the antenna's in. All right, I'm going to loosely fit it. I'm not tightening that screw in all the way yet. We're going to do that with all 4 screws here. The reason we're doing that is to make sure everything is aligned properly before we go and tighten everything down. All right, there we go. 3rd one in. Again, we're just loosely fitting it. And the 4th one here. Okay, and if you want, you can also get that one in, but before you do that, let's go ahead and connect the wireless antenna cables. All right, so to do this, you kind of bend it back over. All right, it's a little bit tricky. Make sure it gets lined up. The way you know it's lined up is if it's lined up and you try and move it around with your fingernail, you see it stays in place, then we can go ahead and push that and click it down. Right, same thing with this one. Okay, looks like it's staying in place. It doesn't go sideways or forward or anywhere. And then you can click it down. All right, now that we got all of that in, we can take the other T5 Torx 5 screw, get that lined up. If it's not lining up right, you can help push it a little bit over, and then we'll just get this screw in. Okay, make sure. There we go. And then we'll just tighten that down. Okay, we can actually put this little adhesive cover thingy on first so it lines up with this, and then it just flops over just like that. Let me see, make sure this goes on right. Okay, and just like that. And also, if you notice the cable here, it curves around and goes in front. You don't want this foam pad sticking on it. All right, there we go. So next thing we can do, we can actually tighten down all the 4 screws here. Can we see all of them? Yep. Okay, so we can tighten down these 4 screws here. You don't want them crazy tight or anything, but just make sure that if you twist it, it doesn't want to move anymore. Okay, like that. And we're just going to do that with all 4. Okay, there we go. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and reconnect this cable here. So a lot of times you do have to kind of push it back this way a little to get it to connect. All right, that's normal. So get it lined up. And get it in right. There we go. All right. And you'll know it's in right because it'll stick, and if you try and pull it up a little, it stays in place. Then you can go ahead and make sure it stays seated down all the way. Okay. We're done with the T5 or Torx 5 until we reconnect the battery. We're going to switch back to the T3 or Torx 3, and we can actually reconnect all the T3 Torx 3 screws now. Make sure these are also connected. Sometimes they can pop out. But yeah, all right. So we're going to start from left and then work our way over to the right. We're going to get this piece back in. You have to put it back at an angle, and then kind of flop it back down, all right? And when you put this in, you want to make sure that it goes underneath this metal piece. You don't want any of it on top of that metal piece, okay? It's very important. I've seen some where people brought it to me and that was sticking out, and I was like, what is this? Okay, all right, next thing we're going to get these 2 screws in. I loosely fit one first, then we get the second one and get this one in. The reason why I loosely fit it is because I want to make sure everything lines up. If you tighten it down before you get the other one in, sometimes it might not be lined up right, and then you'll have a hard time. You'll have to loosen the other one again. All right, there we go. We're going to continue working our way over. We have the metal bars that are supposed to go over here. So one way I found that makes this easier is you take the screw on the screwdriver, you hold this metal plate, okay, get the screw in like this with the screwdriver, use that to help you guide it, and then you can go ahead and loosely fit that down. Once you get that, we can use this to swing it around. And also the cable here sticks up a little to help raise it off a bit so that you can get the screw in easier. And then twist that and get that in. Okay, now we're going to work our way over to the middle connector here. So that's the LVDS connector. And we're basically going to do the same thing. Get the screw on the screwdriver, get the little metal plate, put the screw through, use this to guide it, and then we can loosely fit that screw. Get the second one, and same thing, get that screw in. And if you notice, I also turn the screw backwards first. That's so when I feel it click, I know that the initial starting of the, I don't know what you would call it, the spiral or whatever of the screws, the threads, that's how you know it's seated properly, okay? Not improperly. Okay, so we'll get this screw. Again, you don't want the silvery side facing up, you want the black side facing up. We'll take the screw, use this to help line it up, and again, loosely fit it. All right, get the second one. Okay, line this up, and get that screw in. All right, now we can tighten both of them down. Don't forget, if you leave one loosely fit, that you go back and double check, make sure the screw's tightened, okay? All right, then we're gonna do the same thing with this metal plate here. Okay, loosely fit again. Get this one, line that up, and tighten that down. Okay, and tighten that down. All right, let's go ahead and get this little hinge screw cover thingy back in as well. Same thing, it doesn't really matter which screw is first in this. That's why we loosely fit it first, to make sure we can get everything aligned. All right, second one here, put that in, and tighten that down. Good, and tighten that down. All right, we are now done with the T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver. We're going to switch on over to the P2 or Pentalobe 0.8 screwdriver and get all the antenna screws in. For the antenna screws, what I like to do is I like to get the outermost screws first. So hold this in place, get this screw in. Okay, then we get the inner screw, or the further over to the other edge screw. Again, same thing, holding this in place, and we're just gonna get this screw in. Right, and the reason for that is once you get those two in, you no longer have to hold that. We're gonna do the same thing on this side, okay? And then once we get all of those in, we can go ahead and just tighten all of them one by one, all right? Put that in place. Get that and tighten this. Also, the Pentalobe 0.8 or P2 screwdriver is the same one they use for the iPhone. So if you've worked on an iPhone before, then you already have this screwdriver. But it's always nice to get a nice set that has all the bits you need. I found that, I'm not sponsored or anything, but I found that the iFixit stuff, the bits are very sturdy and they hold up really well. There are cheaper bits that I've bought, sets that I bought before, but if you're planning to do this and you want to make sure things go well, try not to skip out on quality tools, because when the things are this tiny, precision is very important. If you get the bits that are slightly off, then there's more chance that you strip the screws at the top. And then if that happens, you're not going to be able to get the screws out anymore. So, yeah. I kind of wish they'd sponsor me or something, but yeah, nope. All right. And if they did, I don't know how they would contact me, because all my emails that I get are, I assume they're all spam now. I don't even pay attention to them. All right, anyways, we'll get the rest of these Pentalopes RP2 screws in. Only got a few more. Also, you won't be able to turn this back on until you plug it back in, because we disconnected the battery. So I don't know why, but Apple makes it so that the computer won't turn back on until you plug it in. I don't know if that's a safety thing or what, but most computers don't have that issue. All right, we're done with the P2 or Pentalope 0.8 screwdriver. Now we're going to have to reconnect the battery, so let's go ahead and switch back to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Very straightforward. You have this tab that we lifted up earlier. Just get it back in. You don't even have to push the tab back down if you don't want. You can just get the screw in, and then when you go to tighten it down, it will push that tab back down for you. But one thing you want to keep in mind, because sometimes when people lift it up, they bend it all out of shape. Make sure that you can see the metal, the gold contact points on either side of the screw thing. So you should be able to see it on both sides. You can see that gold in the center. All right, if you don't see that on both sides, that means you kind of extended this or over bent it one way, and maybe it shifted over this way or that way. And if that happens, then your computer again is going to have problems turning on, because the battery's basically not going to be detected properly. All right, we're done with that. We're going to now switch back over to the P5 or Pentalope 1.2. We do have to reconnect this battery connector. This one is a little bit tricky to do. And also make sure you didn't accidentally disconnect this side for any reason. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to try and show this. Make sure, of course, that tab is still up. You can grab the plastic part here, and what I do is I kind of use that to help guide it. Okay, it's a little bit difficult to show this on camera because then my hand covers it, so I found this diagonal angle kind of helps. All right, but it makes it harder for me to see. All right, so you have to kind of lift it slightly off the board when you get this in. All right, and there you go. You can see it's in place. Then what I do is I kind of grab and I use my thumbnail at the very bottom of this tab to help pull that and push that into place. Okay. All right, and then you want to take a look. You'll see there is a little bit of the gold pin sticking out. That is normal. And then just slide your finger over the top like that to latch it back down. All right, again, it's normal to have a little bit of the gold part of the cable sticking out like that. Okay, then we just stick this back on top, and then we just get the little cover back on as well. So I like to line it up by putting it sideways like that, making sure that circle lines up, flip it over, and then line up the edge to this raised section there. All right, and just like that. All right, let's zoom out again. All right, and just like that, we pretty much have everything back in place. All that's left now is to get the bottom cover back on. If you want, you can actually test it beforehand, before snapping this all into place, but I think we should be good. All right, we are going to also do a PRAM and SMC reset. I don't know if you can do an SMC reset on this, but the PRAM reset I think should still work. All right, so we're going to get this in slightly at an angle like this, of course, or slightly down like this. Make sure the edge here lines up into the right area. Okay, and if you want, you can do one side first. So hold this down so that those little clips go into the right place. Okay, oops, this side went in first, so let's go ahead and do this side. All right, again, make sure these edges are lined up right. Then you can go ahead, while holding that down, slide that in. Same thing with this side, hold that down and slide that up. Okay, then once you get both sides, go ahead and double check, push that again, and then you can go ahead and click and click. All right, so I don't know what's going on with this here. Why is it all like lopsided like that? I might have to pull that back out and see what's going on. I don't know if he damaged the clip, because this one, the clip wasn't even holding. So let's go ahead and see what's going on with this. I don't know what's going on with his clip on that side. See, that one popped so easily. I don't know what's going on with that. That's very strange. All right, let's pop this out. I don't know what's going on with this, but hopefully we can find out. Okay, this cover's again difficult to remove. Going back to this side. Pulling this out. Ouch. Okay, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. What's preventing this from going on right? The clip looks normal. Huh, that's weird. It looks perfectly fine. So I don't know what's going on there. Let me see if I can pop it down without even... Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe this screw is a little bit too low or too high or something. Let me see if I can adjust that a little, because that's kind of weird. So this is the little screw that the clip goes on. You can see it's kind of the shape. I don't know why it's not clipping on right. Oh, I don't know. Anyways, we're just going to put that back in. And then let's go ahead and get this stuff back together. If you're wondering how I removed that screw, usually you don't need to remove that screw at all, but it used a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay, let's go ahead and get this in again. Line it up, slide it into place. All right, I might have to lift this back up so I can pull it back a little. Okay, and then slide this into place slowly, carefully. Come on, aren't you lining it? There we go. I didn't pull it back enough. There we go. And make sure it looks good. All right, check all the edges, looks good. All right, and push that. I think the reason it's not clipping, maybe when they dropped it or something, I don't know. But you can see this piece, it doesn't want to snap in completely all the way. Strange. Okay, let's see. Can I glide it over a little bit to this direction or something? That's really strange. I don't know what's going on there. Let's see. Can I don't think it's gonna... No, I can't even slide it over like that. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I'm gonna try and get this side in first instead and see if that does anything different, because that's really strange. Okay. So I'm thinking what's going on is this side is kind of too close, so I'm going to pull it down a little, if it will even do that. No. Yeah, see, it's like hitting something here. I don't know what's going on. They must have damaged it or something when they also damaged the screen, but let's go ahead and try pulling this out again. Jeez, come on. Okay, I don't know why this cover is so difficult. Okay, so I don't know what's going on with this side here. Okay, that's kind of lined up right now. I do have to slide this down though to get this in right. So I don't know if I can make it stay lined up completely. Okay, put that in. We'll slide this side in first, and maybe when I do that, can I somehow... Yeah, this side, even when I do that, it doesn't want to line up right. I don't know what's going on with that. Alright, let's slide this side in now. Jeez. Now this side doesn't want to go back in. Yeah, normally it's not that difficult to get this in. I don't know what's going on. There we go. Kind of. Yeah. Alright. But now this side's not. Okay, something's weird with this case. It's like too wide or something. If I do that, then this side doesn't line up, and now that side's raised up. So I don't know what's going on with this case. It's like something dented it in here, I think. Yeah, it looks like something dented it there. Okay, let's pull this back down if I can. Oh my goodness. Goodness gracious, Okay, well, I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't want to... It's making this super difficult. Okay. Alright, well, this time I lined this side up with the little edge here. Let's see if I can somehow get this to stay in and go into place. We're going to pull that back out and see here. Okay, and slide this up. Can I somehow keep that? Yeah, it doesn't want to line up. Something there is not right. Okay, well, something here is like crooked or dented or something. It doesn't want to stay. Maybe, I don't know, it's linked to this whatever is on here. Anyways, let's go ahead now and just get all these screws back in, the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screws, and then we're going to go ahead and plug it in, power it up, do a PRAM and SMC reset if we can, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps, allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Yeah, other than that, thanks for watching. Again, this one was a little bit special, so please like the video if you feel like I should continue doing these kinds of things with it, showing the screwdrivers in advance. Problem is, most laptop models, I don't know what screwdrivers I need in advance. Because I only take them apart that one time during the video, but I'll try and put like the ones that are kind of more known. And yeah, all right, let's flip this over. All right, let's plug this thing in. So right now, if we open it, it's most likely not going to turn on. Yeah, so we're gonna plug this in, and then hopefully we'll feel, there you go, trackpad's clicking and it powered on. You can see the Apple logo, so we should be good to go. Let me show you the PRAM and SMC reset. I don't think it's going to have the SMC reset on here, but let me try. Okay, it's booting up. Oh, that was quick. Alright, so anyways, I don't know if you can see that it's on. There you go. Alright, let's see if SMC reset works. It's Control Option Shift on the left side, power button. Okay, it doesn't do anything. So we're just going to do the, we're just going to do the PRAM reset. So we restart, hold Command Option P and R. All right, and the way you know this works is it should chime, shut back off, and then chime a second time, and then you can let go. All right, so there you go, it's the first chime. If you see the Apple logo shut off while you're holding this, oh, I guess we can't even do a PRAM on this. That's really weird, I don't know. Okay, so it didn't even do a PRAM reset, which is kind of strange. Let me see if I shut this down first. Oh wait, this is a M1 laptop, that's why. Anyways, we're going to power this on, Command Option P and R. I don't think it's going to work, I think because it's an M1. Yeah, M1 models are different. So let me show you the thing with M1 models. They don't have PRAM or SMC reset, but they do have this recovery mode. Let me see if I can show you. I'm going to shut this down. Okay, let's actually peel this thing off. And let me show you on the screen here what's going on. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to press and hold the power button on boot. Alright, so I'm just going to press and hold this. And if you keep holding it, it says here, continue holding for startup options. And you just keep doing that, and eventually, there you go, loading startup options, you can let go. And that's the secret menu, how to get to do the recovery, reinstall the OS, wipe the drive, the SSD, and things like that. Here you can see now it has the options thing here loading. And you can boot the hard drive itself, or you can go to the options. And if you continue with the options, it'll give you like basically the old recovery menu that lets you do the disk utility. I think is it disk utility or whatever. So you can see macOS recovery. In some cases, it'll ask you to sign in with your Apple ID if it's linked to that. But here you can see, yeah, disk utility. You can even go to the website or the internet using the Safari browser and reinstall the OS and restore from Time Machine backup. But that's pretty much it. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.